With us on the phone is a very talented actress as well as a major baseball fan. In fact, she's written a book called Safe at Home, Confessions of a Baseball Fanatic. With us on the phone is Alyssa Milano. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Great.
So, how do you feel? There's been a lot of talk about the Dodgers may wind up playing some October ball this year.
I think if our starting rotation can stay healthy, we're in good shape.
How many games a year do you physically go to?
Well, I have season tickets. I've had them for 6 years, and I have half a season. So I try to get out to, 40 games a year. And that's excluding, the games outside of LA that I try to hit. So, yeah, I try to be there as much as possible. Unless I'm out of town, I'm there.
Now, this book, Safe at Home, Confessions of a Baseball Fanatic, Alyssa, you had the foreword written, like a 3-page foreword in the book written by Joe Torre, who we've had on the show a time or two. He's just an awesome guy. We're huge fans, and you two have a lot in common, actually.
Yeah. The odd part about him writing the foreword is I've actually never met him.
Wow.
I sent him the first chapter of the book, which is basically about being born in Brooklyn and listening to stories from my dad about Ebbets Field and Jackie Robinson and just how he used to sneak under the bleachers to watch games and, he used to put baseball cards in the spokes of his bicycle.
Sure.
Because I thought it was important in the first chapter to sort of lay out how I became a fan. But that first chapter really is about sort of my personal history and my family's history with baseball. And I think Joe Torre just sort of could relate to that and like the story that I was going to tell.
Well, I just love his the foreword. I read all the way through it. And would you mind, or do you want to, I understand if you want to save it, but can I read the last paragraph of his foreword?
Sure.
Okay. This is from Joe Torre, forward of the book Safe at Home. In the end, Safe at Home is not just a book about Dodgers and the Yankees or about Los Angeles and New York. It's more than that. To be safe at home is not simply to show up at every game and support your team. It's to recognize that your team's ballpark is also a piece of your personal history, and that no matter which players are on the field, they are your connection to a tradition that began many years ago and will, I hope, continue to be passed on from generation to generation. Joe Torre. This book talks about how it started with your family, and baseball is sort of a part of your life because of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, here's sort of the backstory. My dad and I moved out to Los Angeles when Who's the Boss got picked up, and we left New York. And my mom and my brother stayed back in New York because there were no guarantees if the show was going to be a huge hit. Mm-hmm. So they figured, we'll stay back here, and if it doesn't work out, then we still have our home. So my dad and I spent a year together alone. And, when the Brooklyn Dodgers left New York, my father was absolutely heartbroken and hated the Dodgers and became a Yankees fan out of spite. But when we moved to Los Angeles, it was during the 80s, and the Dodgers were obviously having their best decade. And he started watching the Dodgers again. And I quickly realized that baseball would be the thing that would connect us during that time without my mom, and that is a connection that lives on to this day. I mean, I'm 36 years old, and I love my parents more than anything, but, you grow up, and time and distance can separate a family. But for me, no matter what is going on in my life, no matter how hectic it is, my dad will pick up the phone, and he'll be like, I don't know, what do you think, Batman-y, third or fourth? And it's still that thing that we have to talk about, and I feel blessed that we had that, because it made our relationship so much stronger. And it was great because when I was doing this book tour, I did signings all over New York and the area, and fathers were bringing their daughters to the signings, and I thought, see that's what it is. And that was beautiful.
Alyssa, is the hot, sexy blue jacket you're wearing on the cover of this book your own clothesline?
Yes, that's from Touch. We just took out the Dodgers logo.
You look good in it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ken Burns was being interviewed on ESPN the other day, and he very passionately was saying that baseball is the greatest game ever invented. What is it that you love about watching a game of baseball?
It's many things. The game itself, I love that it's not a back and forth. It's not a lateral back and forth. I love that it's spread out. I love the pacing of it. You know, it's not what happens when the ball is actually in play, but the moments before, the quiet moments. I love that the pace lends itself to those dramatic, huge moments, like when Matt Kemp hit his grand slam the other day. I love sort of the community aspect. I love being able to be in a ballpark, and you know, it doesn't matter what religion, where you come from, who you are, what your history is. We all have a connection. You know, 40 to 50,000 people are there for the same purpose. You know, I often say that I don't know my neighbors in Los Angeles. I don't know their names, but I know everyone around me that has season tickets. And I don't know if that sense of community exists anyplace else. You know, it's such a generational gift handed down. And I just think it's glorious and beautiful.
We were talking about this yesterday. The new Yankee Stadium, $1.whatever billion to build it, having problems right now. They overcharged for the seats. Now they had when they built the stadium, of course they had no idea the economy was going to take a dump like it did. But now when you watch a Yankees game, there's nobody behind home plate because those are the $650 seats.
Right, and the seats that are affordable at the new Yankee Stadium are obscured viewing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know whose bright idea that was. But, yeah, I think that baseball is in a weird sort of time in you know, the business aspect of it versus the you know, the pure form of what makes the sport so great.
We're talking with Alyssa Milano, author of the book Safe at Home, Confessions of a Baseball Fanatic, forward by Joe Torre. Alyssa, now, you're fit, you're gorgeous, you have to be in that, you know, and you are the perfect body and lovely, beautiful. So when you go to a baseball game, and you do very, very often, are you bellying up to some Dodger dogs? Do you do the Frosty? Do you do the nachos?
I do the nachos. I actually don't eat meat, so I can't do the Dodgers dog. I could actually say I've never tasted a Dodger dog.
I'm not sure that there is any meat in a Dodger dog. We'd have to check that.
That may be true. Dodger Stadium has delicious veggie dogs, though, and veggie burgers. They have good alternatives. So, but I kind of eat nonstop because you want something. You want like that nervous. You know, you need to exercise that nervous energy that you have when you're watching your team. So I just keep eating.
Will you have a beer?
Margarita.
You can have a margarita at Dodger Stadium. All right.
Of course.
Alyssa, we know that you got to go, but what about Manny? Are you worried that he's going to start being Manny?
No, I'm not worried at all. I think that the way that Ned set up his contract is very smart. I think the fact that he's, you know, potentially a free agent again next year, means that he'll play his heart. I think he's happy here. You know, I have no doubt that, you know, I see both sides of the Boston story. I see the fans' perspective and also his perspective. That's a hard place to play.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you officially caught Manny fever. There's a picture of you in the book wearing the Manny dreadlock baseball cap.
Yeah, I actually made that myself.
You did?
Yes. Wow. I couldn't wait for them to get it in. So I went and bought a Rasta wig and then just sewed it onto a baseball cap.
Huge fan.
Well, there you go. If you weren't aware, Alyssa Milano is a huge fanatic of a fan of baseball, and she wrote a book. It's called Safe at Home, Confessions of a Baseball Fanatic, with the foreword by Joe Torre. Alyssa, great talking to you.
And what's your story, Alyssa? Married, boyfriend? What's your deal?
I'm engaged.
Oh, that's great.
I'm engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully he's a baseball fan.
He is a baseball fan. He's actually a Yankees fan.
Wow. Alyssa, great talking to you.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.
Alyssa Milano, Safe at Home, Confessions of a Baseball Fanatic.